Have you ever had a moment when you suddenly realized, wow, I'm really living alone now? Maybe you love the peace and quiet, or perhaps it feels a little too quiet sometimes. Either way, living alone in your later years comes with its own set of surprises, some wonderful, some challenging, and a few that no one really warns you about. But here's the truth, living alone can be one of the most fulfilling and empowering experiences of your life, if you do it right. The problem is, many people unknowingly fall into small mistakes that can make life harder, lonelier, or even more dangerous than it needs to be. And that's exactly why you're here today. In this video, we're going to uncover the common mistakes many seniors make when living alone, things that can affect your health, happiness, and even your safety. And don't worry, we're not just here to point out the problems. You'll also learn simple, practical solutions to avoid these pitfalls and make your solo life not just manageable, but truly enjoyable. So, whether you're newly adjusting to living alone or you've been doing it for years, stick around, because what we're about to discuss might just change the way you see your everyday life. And trust me, you won't want to miss the last point. It's something most people never even think about, but it can make all the difference. Let's get started. Have you ever sat in your quiet home, looked around, and thought, wow, this is a lot different than I expected? Maybe living alone gives you a sense of freedom, peace, and independence. After all, you don't have to answer to anyone, and your time is yours. But at the same time, there might be moments when things feel a little too quiet, or you catch yourself wondering, am I really making the best choices for my safety and happiness? If that sounds familiar, don't worry, you are not alone. Living alone in your later years can be one of the most fulfilling experiences of your life, but only if you avoid certain common mistakes that can make things unnecessarily difficult. The truth is, many seniors fall into small but dangerous habits that can impact their well-being, their health, and even their sense of purpose. And here's the thing, most of these mistakes are not things people talk about openly. So today, we're diving into this conversation head-on. In this video, we're going to discuss the common mistakes people make when living alone after 60, 70, or beyond, things that may seem harmless at first but can slowly affect your health, security, and happiness. Stick with me, because some of these might surprise you, and by the end, you'll walk away with practical ways to make your solo living experience not only safe but truly enjoyable. Let's start with the first big mistake that many people don't even realize they're making: neglecting social connections. It's easy to think, oh, I enjoy my own company, I don't need to be around people all the time. And sure, having time to yourself is great. But when that alone time stretches into days or even weeks without meaningful interaction, that's when things start to shift in a negative direction. Studies have shown that social isolation can take a serious toll on both physical and mental health. And I'm not just talking about feeling a little lonely. This can affect everything from memory function to heart health. Some experts even say that loneliness can be as harmful as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So what can you do? The good news is, you don't need a huge social circle or daily visitors to keep connected. Simple things make a difference: calling a friend for a quick chat, joining a local club or senior group, even chatting with neighbors when you get the chance. And if you find yourself thinking, oh, I don't want to bother anyone, stop that thought right there. People enjoy hearing from you more than you realize. Another thing to be mindful of when living alone is something that sneaks up on a lot of people: not paying attention to home safety. Now, you might be thinking, I've lived in this house for years, I know it like the back of my hand. And while that's true, accidents can still happen in familiar places, especially as we age and our reflexes change. For instance, something as simple as a throw rug that was never a problem before can suddenly become a tripping hazard. Or, maybe that step outside the back door is just slightly uneven, nothing major, but enough to cause a stumble if you're not paying attention. A minor slip could turn into a major issue, especially if no one's around to help immediately. That's why it's important to be proactive. Take a walk around your home and look at it from a safety-first perspective. Make sure rugs are secured, lighting is bright enough in hallways and staircases, and if you haven't already, consider installing grab bars in the bathroom. These little adjustments can make a world of difference. And speaking of being proactive, let's talk about another mistake that many people don't think about until it's too late: ignoring health checkups and regular doctor visits. When you live alone, it's easy to put things off, thinking, "Oh, I'll make that appointment next week." But next week turns into next month, and before you know it, you've skipped an important checkup that could have caught something early. Taking care of your health isn't just about treating illnesses, it's about preventing them in the first place. Regular checkups, eye exams, and even something as simple as monitoring your blood pressure at home can help keep you in great shape and living independently for longer. And if you ever feel like, "Oh, I don't want to bother the doctor over something small," remember, your health is worth it. It's always better to catch things early than to deal with bigger problems down the road. Now, those are just a few of the key things to keep in mind when living alone, but there's more we need to talk about. Because while physical health and home safety are critical, there's another area that plays a huge role in your overall happiness, and that's having a sense of purpose and staying mentally active. Let's explore that next. Now, let's talk about something that isn't often discussed but plays a huge role in how fulfilling your life can be when living alone: staying mentally engaged. You see, a lot of people assume that as long as they're physically safe, everything else will fall into place. But here's the reality: living alone isn't just about avoiding accidents or keeping up with doctor visits. It's also about keeping your mind sharp, staying engaged with life, and making sure every day has a sense of purpose. Have you ever woken up, gone through the day, and then realized by evening that you barely did anything that truly stimulated your mind? Maybe you watched TV, scrolled through your phone, or did a few chores, but nothing that really made you think, create, or feel inspired. That's something that happens to a lot of people, and at first, it doesn't seem like a big deal. But over time, this kind of mental stagnation can lead to boredom, loneliness, and even cognitive decline. Here's the thing: your brain needs exercise just as much as your body does. When you stop challenging it, you start losing mental sharpness. That's why it's so important to make mental engagement a daily priority. And no, this doesn't mean you need to start doing complicated math problems or studying for a new degree, unless you want to. It can be as simple as learning something new every day. Maybe you take up a new hobby: painting, gardening, playing a musical instrument, or even writing in a journal. Or you could start reading books on topics you've always been curious about. And if you want to take it a step further, try learning something totally outside your comfort zone. Ever thought about learning a new language? Or maybe trying out a brain training app? These little activities keep your mind active and give you something to look forward to each day. And here's a secret: staying mentally engaged isn't just good for your brain, it's also a great way to stay socially connected. Think about it: if you take up a hobby, you're more likely to meet people who share that interest. If you join a local club or take an online class, you'll have opportunities to interact with new people. Even something as simple as discussing a book with a friend over the phone can make a big difference in keeping your mind sharp and your social life active. Now, while keeping your mind engaged is essential, there's another mistake many people make when living alone that can seriously affect their well-being: ignoring financial planning. When you're younger, it's easy to brush off financial worries because there's still time to figure things out. But after 60 or 70, managing your money wisely becomes one of the most important things you can do to maintain your independence. One of the biggest pitfalls? Not having a clear budget. It's easy to spend money on little things without realizing how much it adds up over time. Maybe you order takeout a little too often, or you subscribe to services you don't really use. Before you know it, your expenses are higher than you expected, and you're dipping into savings faster than planned. The solution? Take time to review your finances and make sure you have a clear plan for your expenses. Know exactly how much is coming in and going out each month. If you're not sure where to start, consider speaking with a financial advisor or even using simple budgeting tools to keep track of your spending. And while we're on the topic of finances, here's something else to consider: scammers specifically target older adults, especially those who live alone. Unfortunately, there are people out there who take advantage of seniors through phone scams, fake emails, and even door-to-door schemes. So here's a golden rule: if someone calls you unexpectedly asking for personal information, money, or anything that seems urgent, pause. take a moment to verify before doing anything. Legitimate companies and government agencies will never pressure you into making quick decisions over the phone. When in doubt, hang up and call the organization directly using a number from their official website. Another thing to be cautious of is online scams. Be careful when clicking on links in emails or messages from people you don't know. If something seems too good to be true, it probably is. And if you ever feel unsure about something, talk to a trusted friend or family member before making any financial decisions. Staying sharp financially is just as important as staying sharp mentally and socially. When you have control over your money and know how to protect yourself, you give yourself the freedom to truly enjoy life without unnecessary stress. But while managing finances and staying mentally engaged are key, there's another aspect of living alone that many people overlook: creating a daily routine that keeps you active, healthy, and happy. Let's dive into that next. Now, let's talk about something that can completely change the way you experience living alone: building a daily routine that keeps you energized, engaged, and truly happy. You see, when you live alone, you don't have the same structure that comes from living with others. There's no one waking you up early, reminding you to eat, or suggesting you go out for a walk. And while having freedom is great, it can also lead to unhealthy habits if you're not careful. Have you ever had one of those days where you wake up late, stay in your pajamas, put off your tasks, and before you know it, the whole day has slipped away? It happens to all of us, and once in a while, that's okay. But when it becomes a habit, it can affect your mental and physical well-being. That's why having a simple, enjoyable routine can make all the difference. A good daily routine isn't about strict schedules or rigid to-do lists. It's about creating a rhythm that makes you feel good. Start with your mornings. How you begin your day sets the tone for everything that follows. Instead of reaching for your phone first thing, try stretching, drinking a glass of water, or stepping outside for a breath of fresh air. Make sure you have a regular time for meals, too. When you live alone, it's easy to skip meals or grab whatever's convenient, but your body needs proper fuel. Try to include fresh, whole foods in your diet: fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, things that give you energy instead of making you feel sluggish. And if cooking feels like too much effort, consider preparing meals in advance or using meal delivery services designed for seniors. But here's where a lot of people go wrong: they forget to include movement in their day. Staying physically active isn't just about exercise, it's about keeping your body strong so you can continue doing the things you love. If you don't move, your muscles weaken, your joints stiffen, and everyday activities, like getting up from a chair or walking up the stairs, start to feel harder. The good news? You don't need an intense workout to stay strong. Even simple activities like walking, stretching, or doing chair exercises can make a big difference. The key is consistency. Just 15 to 30 minutes of movement each day can help with balance, flexibility, and overall well-being. And if you make it fun, like dancing to your favorite music or gardening, it won't feel like exercise at all. Now, while taking care of your body is essential, there's another part of life that's just as important: staying connected with others. One of the biggest mistakes people make when living alone is isolating themselves. And sometimes, it's not even intentional. Maybe you tell yourself, "I don't want to bother anyone," or, "People are busy with their own lives." But the truth is, human connection is vital at every age. When you live alone, you have to be proactive about maintaining relationships. Call a friend just to chat, join a club, attend community events, or even connect with others online. A simple conversation can brighten your day and remind you that you're not alone. And if you're thinking, "But I don't know where to start," here's a tip: try reaching out to someone you haven't talked to in a while. Even a quick "thinking of you" message can open the door to reconnecting. And speaking of connection, don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. Living alone doesn't mean you have to do everything by yourself. Whether it's asking a neighbor for help with a heavy package or letting a loved one know you're feeling under the weather, reaching out isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. At the end of the day, living alone in your later years can be one of the most rewarding experiences of your life, if you do it right. It's a time to focus on yourself, your passions, and your happiness. But to truly enjoy it, you need to avoid the common pitfalls: neglecting your mental and physical health, ignoring financial planning, and isolating yourself. Remember, small changes can make a big difference. Whether it's creating a simple routine, staying active, or making an effort to stay connected, every step you take adds to your quality of life. So, what's one thing you can start doing today to make your life better? Think about it, and if you found this video helpful, let us know in the comments. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel for more tips and advice on living your best life after 60. Here's to staying safe, happy, and thriving, no matter where or how you live. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.